Hey there, welcome to the Practice Journal How-To Guide. This is going to tell you all about the best practices and what I do utilizing Practice Journal to most effectively use your time when you're practicing this year. So, our Practice Journal covers one entire year. There is 365 days worth of entries in here, and that also includes a couple of pages that are going to set some goals at the beginning of the year. It's going to have a monthly check-in so you can reflect and see what kind of habits you've established, which ones are good, which ones are bad, and how we can move forward. So, in our practice journal, you're going to open it up. The first page is pretty self-explanatory. You don't want to lose it, especially considering if it's going to hold all of your information. Now, the very first page after that is the introduction to our practice journal. Here you're going to list 3 things that you're going to get better at this year. That could be, I'm going to learn all my major scales. It could be, I'm going to learn all the modes of my minor scales. It could be, I want to get a better sound this year. It could be, I want to be able to learn 20 tunes this year, or I want to do 10 jazz transcriptions, or I want to learn this piece of the repertoire, or that piece of the repertoire, or I want to take this audition for this orchestra, or I want to get into this school ensemble next year. And so we're going to be practicing things that are going to lead us to those goals. So in the space provided, you're going to list 3 things that are going to be the biggest 3 things for the year. Because if we list too many things, you're going to end up with not getting anything done. So if we pick 3 things, we can definitely focus on 3 things in one year. Now, that brings us to the daily page. So it's pretty self-explanatory, but you're going to write down the date. Now, in the box that says things to practice today, we want to do this before we sit down to practice for the day. We want to think about what we need to get done and write it down, whatever it might be. So for me, as a sample, one day, just yesterday, I wrote down that I wanted to learn the Antonio Carlos Jobim tune, Gingy. I was going to work on my G major scale workout. I was going to review this tune, Cheek to Cheek by Irving Berlin, that I had learned just the other day. And I was going to really focus on my sound. So that's what I wrote in the things to practice today. Now, below that, I think it's really important to list the exact times that you practiced. So not just like sort of like 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock. No, you started practicing at 1:05 and then you took a break at 2:12. That's great. Okay, we know you practiced for 1 hour and 7 minutes. So when you know exactly how many minutes you've practiced, you can then figure out exactly how much you practiced in a day. Because we spend a lot of time, checking our phone, looking at the Facebook, looking at this or that, in the middle of your practice session. So try to keep track before you take a break. It's important to take breaks, but that's what we're going to do with that section of the book. We're going to write down the exact time, and then we're going to list exactly what we worked on, as specific as you can, just so you can have something to look back to and know what you practiced. Goals for the next time you practice. And now in this section, we're going to think about our sessions that we had today. Maybe we did 2, 3, 4 sessions, but we want to reflect and see what didn't we get to that's in that top box that says what are we going to practice today. So you're going to list down there if you didn't get to, say, your G major scale and you meant to practice that today, you're going to write that in the box. Goals for next time, I'm going to learn my G major scale. So then, the next day, when you can go and you start to look at your things to practice for that day, you're going to flip back a day and you're going to look at goals for next time. You're going to see all the things that you've listed there. Then you're going to go ahead and transfer some of those to your today's practice, and then you're also going to list whatever other goals you need to. Some days you might need to learn some music for school, so for an ensemble you're in, or a tune for a class. So sometimes things are going to change day to day that aren't on the thing from the day before. Then, after you get through a whole month of practice, you can go and see when exactly you practiced and how long you practiced for, and everything down to the last detail of what you practiced. And then you'll get a real idea of how much you're actually practicing, how much time you're wasting when you practice, and what things you need to get to that you haven't been able to get to. So, now that you've kept the journal for 1 month, and we got to the end of that, we've gotten to our page here that is our check-in page. It's going to say, it's been 4 weeks, let's check in on your goals. So you're going to go back, you're going to flip through, you're going to look and see what you practiced, you're going to see how much you practiced, you're going to see, wow, on a certain day, I practiced in 3 separate sessions for 1 hour each, and it seems like I got a lot done. This other day, I practiced for 4 hours straight, and I noticed that I really only got half the amount of stuff done that I did when I split up my practice sessions. So this is the place where you're going to write those kinds of observations down. And what this does is it allows you to reflect and know how you can organize your practice sessions better over the coming month. Because that's what we're doing. We're keeping track so that you can reflect and know what to do to take advantage of your time. Because we only have so much time and we want to use it as effectively as we can. That's why we keep this practice journal. So you're going to keep on using our practice journal every day, every time you practice, until we get through a whole year. And once we get to the end of the whole year and you've made this a habit, it's just automatic. You're just every day, you're doing your practice journal. You don't even have to think about it. If you don't do every day, it's not the end of the world. You just pick up where you left off. We all get busy, have things to do. But at the end of the book, you're going to get to a section and it's going to say, congratulations, because you kept an entire year's worth of practice journal. Awesome. Now we're going to take a look all the way back to the very front, and we're going to look at those 3 things that we were going to get better at this year. So it happens to be January of 2015 now. So in January of 2016, I'm going to look back at my practice journal, and I'm going to say if I got these things accomplished. You know, I said I was going to transcribe at least 12 solos this year, 1 per month. I was going to develop and maintain my daily routine of maintenance on my instrument here. And then I was going to actually track my year of practice in this journal. So after that, I'm going to take a look at the last couple of pages and fill this out, because this is what we need to do when we set goals. You have to take the time to look back at them, see if we accomplished them, so that we can work on them better in the next year. So we say, did you reach the first goal? Why or why not? Second goal, third goal, same thing. Why or why not? The next question, what have you observed about your practice habits? That's where we're going to look at all of those pages that we checked in on throughout the year, and we're going to write down any observations. Like for me, I know that I practice best in 75 to 90-minute sessions. So I would write down in here, most productive with 75 to 90-minute sessions, with other things in between, maybe a class, maybe teaching, coming back, doing another 90-minute session, coming back, doing another 90-minute session. So I know from my previous tracking that 90-minute sessions work best for me. For you, it might be different, shorter, longer. Some people like to practice everything in one long swoop. That's where these other questions come in. What's your ideal number of sessions per day? What length are they? What's the best distribution of practice material? Meaning, do you like to practice all of your jazz at the same time and then classical, or your daily routine? How long is your routine? Does it take up an entire session's worth of practice? Is it an hour long? Or is it just like 5 or 10 minutes and you can get to a lot of other stuff? This is where you're going to track all of the things throughout the year that you've been practicing, and you can look and see when you were the most effective. And our last question, how will you improve this process next year? You're going to want to think about how it went. Did you actually record everything every day? Did you keep really good track of what time you were practicing? Did you get to everything that you wanted to practice? Did you meet your goals? These are all things you can reflect on in that last question. So that's what we're going to do with the pages in the journal. So that's a little overview of that. So why did I do this? Why did I decide to make this book? Well, because you can keep track of a practice journal in a regular piece of paper, but having guiding questions and thinking about your goals on the way is really important. And I find that with my students, actually leading them with questions and leading them with ideas about their practice sessions and what I do is helpful. Now, there was nothing on the market quite like this, so that's why I decided, well, just make it. So I hope that this little tutorial has helped you understand how and why you should be keeping track of your practice. I hope that you're very, very productive this year and that you enjoy keeping track of your practice as much as I've enjoyed keeping track of mine, because it helps you get better. So thanks again for buying the book. Tell your friends if you're enjoying it, and definitely shoot me an email if there's any additional questions you have about how to use the journal. So, thanks again, and we'll see you around.